Hello, everyone. We're back on the spotlight. Like, favorite, and subscribe for me, please. We'll get straight into it with yesterday's result versus Arsenal, a 1-1 and a victory on penalties. That's two huge games in what a week. Liverpool and then Arsenal in the FA Cup. I want to talk about yesterday's game a bit. Obviously, the result's a very good one, considering especially the first half, the referee was a joke. And I'm not usually one who will have a go at refs for a reason why we lose games, draw games, have bad performances, because a lot of the time we're bad enough to lose games regardless of what the ref does. But yesterday, I think it was an absolute joke. And you can't really blame Arsenal for it. I know people are having a go at Arsenal. They're playing the game. They're wasting time. They're going down easy. If the officials fall for it, that's not Arsenal's fault. It's on the officials for not picking it up. The bookings, the fouls, the time wasting, the pulling it back. Arteta never in his technical area, never gets pulled up for it. I've never wanted us to, well, not never, but it's been a long time since I've wanted us to turn a game round and win it. And yesterday was one of them. I'm so happy the performance was there. We dug in, we got the result. Bruno scored a great goal. Bruno performed well again. I'll give him praise where his praise is due. Not outstanding, but still very good. The penalty is a disgrace. Havertz has gone down. And again, you can't really blame Havertz. He's playing the game. There's no VAR. I don't get it, the VAR thing. If there's VAR in a stadium the game's been played in, just use it. It don't make it any less fair or fair on teams that do or don't have a VAR. If the stadium's got it, why is it not being used? Yesterday, it's a thing in it with a VAR chat. Like, we all want rid of it, but then when we haven't got it and something like that happens, we all want it. You know, it's one of them things that if we got rid of it, we'd still moan, and if it's here, we'll moan about it. So it is what it is, VAR. You win some, you lose some. With or without it, it's really made no difference to the game, has it? Because some you get, some you don't, with or without VAR. But that is the way VAR goes. And you can't really, we've dug in with 10 men for what, 60, 70 minutes there through extra time. Delo deserved to be sent off. There were both bookings. His second challenge is stupid when he's on a booking. And you can't really, the performance was there, wasn't it? The performance is in the attitude, the work rate, the discipline to stay focused, stay in shape, and do a defensive job was there. The performance as an expanding performance, getting forward, scoring goals, there's a lot of work to do. And I will touch on that a little bit later on when I get into the next few games. But you can't say the work rate wasn't there. You can't say that the team's not dug in, dealt with what they needed to do, gone through some adversity today with what happened with the ref, and that showed some fight, come out and won the game. It's all you can say about it, innit? The performance was good in a way and poor in others. But absolutely take it to the bank it, and on to the next one versus Leicester. It's all I've really got to say about yesterday's game, because it wasn't good to watch, especially in the first half. It was a horrendous game of football to watch. Second half had some action in it, but it still wasn't a free-flowing, great game of football to watch, was it? It was more good to watch because of the adversity the team went through in the first half with the ref, and then coming through it at the end to win on penalties. We want to get into Bayende. Should he start the next games? Very different game coming up versus Southampton, isn't it? So again, I'll get into a bit into the next few games a bit later on. But against Southampton, you would expect Bayern not to be having to make a lot of saves, or Onana. So you want a keeper that can build up from the back. And on the evidence of Bayern's kicking yesterday, we ain't building up anything from the back with Bayern. And it's probably the reason why he's not getting more game time, because he's not good with his feet, clearly, is he? And it's one game with Bayern. Yes, he had a very good one. He made a couple of great saves, saved 2 penalties in the end. But let's not get carried away with Bayern. There's a reason why he's barely got a minute under two or couple of managers now. He can't be as good as everybody thinks he is, else he will be playing, surely. Would I play him in the next game versus Southampton? Look, I'm not the biggest Onana fan. And I do think he goes down like a sack of spuds. The problem is if we're building to be a possession side under Amorim who play out from the back, Onana needs to start games, especially versus teams like Southampton, where we will apparently have most of the ball. So I probably would play Onana versus Southampton, but if it ends up being Bayern, I wouldn't be complaining too much. I just want to go on to the sections of the team in the Arsenal game. I think the back three played extremely well. I think Maguire and De Ligt had absolutely brilliant games. Martinez was steady, but he wasn't as good as them two. But my caveat with our back three, and I've mentioned it a few times now, is games like Liverpool and Arsenal suit our back three, where they have the ball, they're coming at us, we're already deep and we can defend our own box. Now, I don't want to get into what I'm going to talk about later on, but games coming up versus Southampton, Brighton, Palace, where we will have more of the ball and be pushing up to the halfway line in possession, and we lose it and we're spun on and we're running back to our own goal from the halfway line, is where this back three will be found out, because there's no pace in it. I would be making sure either Mazwari or Yoro are starting in that back three when we're expected to have possession. Because if we get up to the halfway line and we know our front 4 or 5 are allergic to possession, they cannot keep the ball, you get up to the halfway line, you turn around, you're running back to your own goal. There's nothing worse for a centre-back, and especially a slow one. I played centre-back for most of my career as a footballer in a team that most of the time wouldn't keep possession, and everybody's shouting for you to get out, get out, get out. So you get out, and as soon as you get near the halfway line, they've lost the ball, you're running back to your own goal. That is what I fear for the next few games. We've played a couple of hard teams. They've had most of the ball, pinned us back, we defend well. The key factor is, has Amorim now fixed this system where our midfield 2, our wing backs, and our 2 10s and striker are going to be able to get over the halfway line and keep the ball? Because if we don't get over the halfway line and look after the ball, we're going to go back to what we saw before Christmas versus mid-table sides baking us on the transition, where we lose the ball cheaply in their final third, they turn us around and they outrun us in midfield and they outpace our back three. It will happen. This is my real concern, that we'll take these 2 results like we're back, like things have changed, like Amorim's changed everything. And as soon as we start to have control of games and the ball again, we're back to being run through like a donut. Because we can't keep possession in the final third. And we spent loads of money on defenders over the last window or 2, and we all thought we had enough going up front with Garnacho, Rashford, Højlund, Bruno, who you could argue all of them are on the chopping block now. Højlund, I think, was absolutely awful yesterday against Arsenal. And I've been very critical of Xerxes, but he come on, and when Xerxes come on, he got hold of the ball up there. And I'm not saying start Xerxes over Hoyland. I don't know who I'd start up front because I don't think either of them are very good. I think probably Hoyland will get another start versus Southampton. It probably suits him a bit more. Or does it? Because we're likely to have the ball in the final third, and Hoyland's touch is worse than Lukaku's. Maybe we'll be better off with Xerxes against Southampton. It's a tough one because Hoyland obviously runs more than Xerxes, but his back to goal play, his touch, and I think him getting on the end of crosses and things that come into the box is non-existent. Xerxes might drop deeper and pick the ball up and not be in the box, but also I think Xerxes probably scored more goals getting on the end of crosses than Hoyland has. The facts are we need a striker because neither of them are good enough. And at the moment, I don't think it matters which one of them plays because they both throw stinkers left, right, and centre. And that is what I think about the striker situation at United. We just haven't got a target man. We haven't got a focal point to hit up front. They're both not good enough by a mile. So start whoever you want up front. It don't really make any difference. I mean, I'd even potentially put Bruno back up front like he did the back end of last season. I know it's a bit of a different role, but at least he probably can play the position. I don't know. Tell me what you think. Our midfield, Agate's obviously turning it around. I've been not really critical of Agate, but like on the fence, is he as good as we think he is? Right now, I think he's having a great time in the United team. He's got fight, he's got guile, he's putting himself about. He don't care about going into tackles. I mean, we've missed it, that kind of thing. Long term, will he be good enough on the ball? That's something we'll have to find out. I think Mainu didn't have a great game. I think he was good first half versus Liverpool, and then he dackered off. Has Mainu got fitness problems? Because he doesn't seem to be able to last a full game. And everybody says he's slow and off the pace or he's slow in transition anyway. And then if he's not got the fitness levels to do it for 90 minutes, it's a bit of a concern with Mainu, isn't it? And there's all this contract talk and are we going to sell him and this, that and the other, and nobody wants to sell him. The fact of the matter is he actually good enough? And I know he's young, but physically, is Mainu good enough to play in an elite side central midfield? There's a question mark there, isn't there? I feel like Garnacho last year, nobody would have sold him and, oh no, you can't sell Garnacho. He's going to be this player, that player. And how the tides have turned on Garnacho with the new system and the rumours about him being sold and him being left out the team, and the fan base realises he might not have been as good as we thought. And is that happening to Mainu as well? Like, if we go and get another central midfielder in the summer to play with Agate, where does it leave Mainu? Because he's not getting played in a 10, is he? And he not once has he been played in the 10 role. So I think at United, they see him as a 6/8. And if we go and get someone to play alongside Agate, it could be the end for Mainu at Man United. And I don't want to say, I'm not saying I say get rid of him. He's really young and he is one of the only people we've got who can keep the ball. But all these rumours and the system, and he's not really performing in it, you've got to put a question mark out there. And obviously, I've just talked about up front, Hoyland and Xerxes ain't got it. And the 10s, yes, Bruno's been doing all right. Garnacho, I guess, did okay again yesterday. But as well as they did, those two players in there are supposed to be magnetic. They're the ones who are supposed to get the ball from the back four or from the midfield two and create for us, keep the ball in the final third. And I don't think that Bruno Fernandes or Garnacho are good enough to be number magnetic, ball playing, possession based number 10s long term. And it shows, even though we won the game yesterday and we did well against Liverpool, we cannot keep the ball still. We're still, we just can't keep possession. We pass it around the back three, out wide, and how often does it go to Mazraoui alone and knock it down the line, give the ball back, or we try and knock it into a 10 or Højlund and we lose the ball. The 2 10s and the striker are a massive problem at the minute for Man United getting up the pitch and scoring goals. Everyone says it's the wide players, and I do agree it is. Dalot being left on the left and he's right footed, and Mazraoui's not really an attacking fullback. Wing back doesn't help. But the 10s and Højlund have got to get the ball and keep hold of it more than they do. That's just where I'm critical. I said on another channel yesterday that out of probably the 2 wing backs, the 2 10s, and the strikers, there's only really Ahmad that I would keep in those positions. And I'd probably long term play him at 10. I think Mazraoui's better as one of the centre back 3s. We need 2 attacking wing backs, a right and a left. We need 2 ball playing 10s, and we need a proper striker. And I would say we need another midfielder. So the entire front half of the pitch needs to get better. If we want to go and comfortably beat lesser teams and compete versus the top teams, as in we're going there to win, not we're going there to nick a point or nick a victory. If we want to be at the level of City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, we've got to get better in the final third. And that means that basically the entire front 4 or 5 need to be changed because they're not getting any better. And that leads me on to Garnacho and a Sale. And then Garnacho was all right yesterday. And Amarin's obviously left him out, disciplined him. Obviously, he's come back, said he's working hard, he's getting back in the side. So it shows probably Garnacho's attitude is changing and he's turning into the right type of attitude, which clearly Rashford's isn't because he's left out again. And I think Rashford's as good as gone in January. I don't think there's any way he stays at United, just to talk about Rashford. But if somebody comes in for 50 or 60 million for Garnacho, I think there's a lot of Napoli rumours around this morning. We want Cavashelli, or Shaley, however you say it. Is there not a swap to be done with Garnacho and Cavashelli with Napoli? Surely something can be organised where, even if it's not in January, if it's in the summer, we sort of swap for Cavashelli and Garnacho. Do I want to see Garnacho leave the team? Not really. But he's been in and out. He's not performed particularly well. He's had disciplinary issues. If we're getting 50 or 60 million quid for him and he gets somebody that Amarin really wants in the team, I don't think anybody's safe. Like, why should there be after the performance of the last year, 2, 3, 4 years? Even though Garnacho's only just broke through, really, he doesn't fit it, does he? I think he's an impact player off the bench, and he always has been. When he's come off the bench, he's always impacted games. But do we think that Garnacho's got the ego or the willingness to sit on Man United's bench for the next 3 to 5 years and come on for 20 minutes and impact games? Or does he think he's a player that should be playing at the highest level somewhere else? And I think it's the latter. I don't think he will ever nail down a starting spot in an Amarin system at a 10 because he ain't technically good enough. and he's not defensively good enough to be a wing back. So the fact of the matter is, if there's big money out there for Garnacho, I'm afraid to say I would sell him. And I just want to quickly touch on the next games. We've got Southampton, Brighton and Palace in the league, with a few Europa League games in between. Rangers, FCSB, and we've got Fulham as well. So we've got Southampton at the weekend, Brighton, Rangers, Fulham, FCSB, and then Palace until the start of January. So Southampton, you expect us to win. It should be a comfortable victory. Whatever happens, they're that bad. We have to beat Southampton at home. If we don't, we've not made an iota of progress. Brighton at home, very tough game. I think the Brighton, Fulham and Palace games are games that prior to this little spell after Christmas we've had, we will be going into them games saying we might get 3 points out of 9. There'll be very tough games, and the games we were losing before, which alludes to the point I was talking about earlier about we're expected to go to those games and control the game, take it to the opposition, play more on the front foot and score goals. Will we revert to being wide open again when we're in possession of the football? That is the question I want to leave you all here. Final bit of the video. How many points will we get from Fulham, Brighton and Palace? So out of 9 points versus 3 decent Premier League teams, what points are we getting? Have we turned a corner and come out of that with 7 out of 9 points? Or are we going to go back to losing the ball too often, getting caught in transition with a slow midfield and a slow back three, and caught on the break again versus athletic, good Premier League teams where we're expected to have most of the game? I think it's very tough to know where we sit right now, because we always turn up in the big games and the suit us as a side. The games when we're in charge of games and on the ball more are games where we really, really seem to struggle prior all season and last season under Ten Hag. Have we got it in us now to put the work rate in, the shape, and be able to keep possession in the final third to stop us getting run through like a donut? Let me know in the comments. I'm out of here. Been talking for 25 minutes nearly. Please like, favourite, subscribe. Leave a comment at the bottom. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.